We are live. I'm always wondering if, and I'm on time, so we start with Ohio gozaimasu, and the brilliant Nick will put in all the episodes that that I mention during, because I can't always remember which one is which, but I do explain why I say Ohio gozaimasu first thing. And the second first thing that we do is to breathe. Breathing, because it makes you instantly feel better if you breathe in through your nose. The inspirate and suspirate that I talked about before, and why it calls in sort of this ancient connecting you to humanity and all of that kind of stuff. So, and that's actually one of the things that I'm going to talk about today before we bring Hannah in. Hey, Hannah, I can see that she's on, and the brilliant Nick who juices these up. But there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about. First of all, I wanted to pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman, because he seemed to be an amazing human being. And he trained at the British American Drama Academy, where I also went. He went a few years after me. I could say a lot, but it actually was only a couple of years after me. And I had this picture of the turtle that used to walk around the quad of Balliol College, and I left it in New York. But anyway, he said something in a speech in 2016 about how not to seek approval, but that we always need to challenge our audiences and to learn and grow. And I'm paraphrasing, of course. And I think it's important to remember that when we're all looking at likes, and that's become the commodity of social media, to think about challenging ourselves and find something to teach, because you never learn more than when you teach it. And I am living proof of that. The other thing with the breathing I wanted to bring up was, and another thing about the Shakespeare, there's an article going around talking about how Shakespeare should be rethought. And we should always rethink everything, of course, but that to frame him as the greatest playwright and have that be the core curriculum. First of all, it's been taken out of a lot of curriculums already, and I think to our detriment. We do have an education problem in this country, and as I've said before, it is a crib sheet for Greek and Roman philosophy and Plato, Pliny, Cicero, Quintilian, Terence, Socrates, Virgil. I could go on, but then we would go past our 12 to 15 minutes. So I understand the zeitgeist, and I think we have to always be careful of, first of all, hyperbole. I've been wanting to write something on hyperbole for a long time, because look, I always forget to say this, but I'm Karen Qualey, author of Botanical Shakespeare, and it does say, the world's greatest playwright. Well, first of all, I wasn't in charge of the title, but I take responsibility, because that's how he's framed. And why do we always have to say this is the best? I got an email yesterday about this is the best thinker of 2020. Really? Do you know everybody? But we've fallen into this trap of hierarchy, and we've fallen into this trap of, for clickbait especially, this is the greatest thing, and this is the best. And if you say, well, this is a really, really good thing, people go, wow. Well, why not? Why isn't really, really good really, really good? Or, really enjoyable, or whatever that is, because it takes too many words to say. Anyway, think about hyperbole and maybe pull back from it a little bit, and don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. If something is good and works just because it's not in the current zeitgeist, yes, rethink it, but also we don't want to lose what's valuable for what's current. We always want to recalibrate where we are. And now I'm getting preachy, so I'm going to pull back. Sorry. I was going to talk a little bit about what's in the farmer's market, because, again, we talked about blackberries in another show, and they're in this really tiny bowl because I am not Martha Stewart, and Martha Stewart has nothing to worry from me. But anyway, they're just so beautiful. And I was thinking about how we get all these flavored seltzer waters. Well, guess what? Grind up a few blackberries and put them in your seltzer, and then you have blackberry flavored seltzer, and it's really good. Notice I didn't say the greatest seltzer. And you've got some nutrient value in there too, and fresh flavor and all that stuff. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming on. And it's also, September is National Mushroom Month. So I thought, we've got to get some mushrooms. So, of course, we have, Shakespeare calls them mushrumps, which I love. And so there are some shiitake mushrooms. Now, Shakespeare just says not only mushrooms, but orbs of the green ringlets. All of those references are to mushrooms, and a lot of times it's because of fairies dancing around them. But he doesn't specify what kind of mushrooms. And I am not a stickler. You can use whatever mushrooms. These are blue oyster mushrooms. Now, I mean, they're so weird. And whoever thought of eating those? And so that's another thing to think about, what's in Shakespeare and what isn't in Shakespeare. Tomatoes, they thought were poisonous at that time. Here's, I forgot what this is called. Is this Chicken of the Woods? Anyway, I think fairies would have a hard time dancing in a circle around that. But actually, fairies can do whatever they want because they're fairies. So maybe they can dance around that. Here's a portobello mushroom or mushrump. Portobello mushrump. Could get a really big fairy to dance around that one. But anyway, so the other thing I was thinking about is who thought, hey, that looks like a good mushroom. Let's try it. And the first person to do that with anything, not just mushrooms, is taking a big chance. I mean, Queen Elizabeth had a taster, a woman who was her official taster, and was a very exalted position because she might not survive the meal. So they had some guy, I always say Bob tasted it. Bob dies. Oh, don't eat that mushroom, which is why there are no people named Bob in Shakespeare. I'm just kidding. There are Roberts, but no Bobs. It's a mystery. Anyway, okay, this is basil, which is not in Shakespeare, but I just wanted to talk about breathing and also water, because I went to New York this week. I forgot to water this baby, and it was completely wilted when I came back, and I felt so terrible. So I doused it with water, and look, it's still a little bit, sad, but it has rallied. And so I got this one, not as a replacement, as a companion, and brought it back on a rather rough bike ride back from the farmer's market and watered that, came right back. So if it can do that for basil, think of what it can do for you. But anyway, now we're going to bring on Hannah. We're going to talk about Balm. And Balm is, again, he says Balm. Balm was the one I had to make a lot of decisions on because Balm is mentioned a lot in Shakespeare, but the cutoff or the deciding point for me is it a plant? So because there are lines like the balm of my poor eyes from Richard III, or the washing the balm from an anointed king from Richard II. And the balm of my poor eyes is tears. It's not actually like he's putting lemon balm in his eyes. It just became a word, like apple is a word for all kinds of fruit. So there's a couple things I didn't put in. The apple of his eye, that's a medieval saying, because apple was anything. At that time, it was just a sort of name for any fruit. But anyway, so here's balm, and he also says balsam and balsamum. So we did a couple of different illustrations to understand that, and the quotes are to go in wounds and as sweet as balm, as soft as air. But that's not the line of the week. So the line of the week I came across, and I just think it's so funny because I talked about the very first show, what a piece of work is man, and oh, what a piece of work is something that we say in our lives today. So the line of the week is, many will be too chill too chill. We said there was a show on Broadway not too long ago when there was a Broadway called Be More Chill. And I always thought, did they get that from Shakespeare? Many will be too chill. And Labor Day is a great time to be too chill. Be too chill. That's the line. Be too chill. But the whole line is, many will be too chill and tender, and they'll be for the flowery way. And we are for the flowery way. And hello, Hannah.
Hello.
Hey, and Hannah has a big announcement today, too, about a shift that she made for this September New Year. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But hi, Hannah, let us talk about Balm. Tell us about the Balm. It's the Balm.
It's the Balm.
Okay.
It's the tiniest piece that I've still got you can still kind of just about make out how it looks. So you can kind of tell by the way that the leaves are arranged and by the fact that it's got a square stem that it's part of the mint family.
Mint family. We learned that from you in the first episode, that mint has a square stem. And we had a viewer who went to the farmer's market and said, oh my God, it does have a square stem. So Balm is in the mint. Okay. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Carry on.
And
what can we do with it?
Well, it's a really incredibly good all-round herb. Probably one of its best uses is for our nervous systems. So it has some kind of almost conflicting qualities to it, but it's a nervine, it's a sedative, and it helps to reduce anxiety and tension. But by contrary, it also helps to uplift the mood, and it also helps to improve memory and concentration and can be quite uplifting. So when you've just had one of those days where everything's just a bit, you're a little bit tense and a little bit worn down by being tense, by having some lemon balm, it'll calm you down, but then it'll uplift you. So it's incredibly useful for that, and that's why
Okay. So what do we do with it? Do we squish it up and put it in tea? Do we cut it up and put it in salad? What is the best way to get the use of it?
Well, to be honest, it's one of those plants, because it's absolutely packed full of really sort of good sort of volatile oils. It's a lot better when it's fresh. So if you're using it fresh, you'll get, as soon as you crush the leaves and you smell the leaves, you'll get so much of the really nice the aroma from it. So if you're infusing it, you can either infuse it in cold water overnight, or you can infuse it like a normal sort of infused cup of tea. But I really like what you were saying about eating it. Have you ever tried to eat it?
I haven't, but I'm just starting to grow herbs and stuff, so I'm going to add this into my rotation, and so I can, because I'm putting mint in my salads now and on a lot of my foods, and every time I cut up peaches, I put in mint or something. So yeah, I'll eat it if it helps, particularly if it's going to uplift the mood and calm me down at the same time.
Yep, it's a good one, and it's one of those ones that if you plant it in the soil, it spreads really, really easily. So if you don't want it to spread, if you keep it in a pot, then it'll be really happy with that. But quite often, people who grow it in the ground will usually say, "Oh, I've got far too much of it." But to me, there's no such thing as too much lemon balm, because you can drink it, but also you can use it as a salad leaf. So if you want a little sort of lemony, citrusy kind of addition to your green leaf salad, it's great. But then it makes a brilliant pesto, and you can combine 50% basil with 50% lemon balm and make an amazing pesto that you will never buy in any shop.
That's true. Oh my God, I've never seen balm pesto. What a brilliant idea. I love incorporating these things into regular things that we would do and eat. And you don't have to just put pesto on hot pasta. I've put it on just slices of tomato, plain, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really a potato as well. Potato isn't Shakespeare, tomato isn't, as I mentioned. Nature's Pharmacy. I keep stressing this because the doctor situation, at least in America, and I think a little bit in the UK as well. Hannah is in Lincolnshire, if I didn't mention that, is complicated and problematic sometimes. And prescriptions here are very, very expensive. If you can learn to help yourself with the stuff that grows in the world and grows in your backyard, if you have one, if you container pots, if you're a New Yorker like me, you can go a long way helping your own health. And that is what you've decided to do, Hannah. Can you talk a little bit about your announcement earlier this week?
Sure. So sort of since lockdown, I've been working online basically with my patients and clients, and most people have kind of decided that they didn't want to sort of go back to sort of, sitting in a consultation room, which I can completely understand. So I've closed my consultation room, and what I'm doing now is taking patients, or will be doing from the autumn, taking patients out into nature and doing walking consultations out in nature. So getting that additional sort of vitamin N from more beautiful.
Vitamin N, I hadn't heard that. Okay. Nature's Pharmacy, vitamin N. Okay, well, or they can just tap you online and get a consultation that way, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I can now work with people all over the UK. So
I actually might utilize you myself. But anyway, so that's our little show for today. Stay tuned for the Wisdom of the Cards at noon Eastern Standard Time. Just a little reminder of the line of the week, which is, many will be too chill and tender, and they'll be for the flowery way. Be too chill. That's what I have to remember. That's from All's Well That Ends Well. How perfect is that?
There are a couple of other things as well that lemon balm is incredibly good for. So there's been some really good quality research into its antiviral uses, and it's been found that it's incredibly antiviral against the cold sore virus, the herpes simplex virus. So if you want to get that kind of action, instead of having to use sort of conventional cold sore cream, what you can do is you can either buy a fairly strong lemon balm extract, or you can, if you've got the fresh, really lovely, lush green leaves, you can crush them up and dab that on your cold sore. And then something else that it's incredibly good for is it's another one of these really lovely herbs that is incredibly useful for decongesting. So it has a real place within our natural pharmacy of helping to relieve congestion to do with colds and catarrh. I would also say that it comes with a slight warning. It's a generally very, very safe herb, but if you have an underactive thyroid, it is a herb that can inhibit the thyroid further. So it's not one to use in great amounts if you have hypothyroidism, so that's an underactive thyroid. But if you're just having the occasional leaf here and there, that's not going to be a problem, but maybe don't eat the pesto by the bucketful.